From George Washington to Ulysses S. Grant, statues, monuments vandalized extend beyond Confederates amid Black Lives Matter protests. To view the full article, click the first link in the description below. Historic monuments and statues have become the targets of anger and vandalism during Black Lives Matter protests in the wake of George Floyd's police custody death at the end of May. The initial statues under fire were Confederate soldiers and generals largely in the South due to the treatment of African Americans, but the anger has spread to monuments of all backgrounds including former U.S. presidents, many of which have been torn down, and some have been officially removed. What happens to Confederate statues after they're removed? The targets of rage have gone beyond the Lincoln Memorial, the World War II Memorial, and the statue of General Casimir Pulaski on the National Mall in Washington around Juneteenth on Friday, the day marking the end of slavery in the United States. Confederate general and D.C. protesters toppled the only statue of a Confederate general, Albert Pike, in the nation's capital and set it on fire on Friday. President Trump has called for people involved in tearing down the statue to be arrested. George WashingtonA group of protesters in Portland, Oregon vandalized and tore down a statue of America's first president, George Washington. The group draped an American flag, lit on fire, and then toppled Washington's statue on Thursday, June 18. The demonstrators argue Washington owned slaves and therefore should not have statues of him. Theodore Roosevelt. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio announced the prominent statue of Theodore Roosevelt in front of the American Museum of Natural History will be removed after years of objections that it symbolizes colonial expansion and racial discrimination. The American Museum of Natural History has asked to remove the Theodore Roosevelt statue because it explicitly depicts Black and Indigenous people as subjugated and racially inferior, de Blasio announced Sunday in a written statement about the statue erected in 1940 that depicts Roosevelt on horseback. To view the full article, click the first link in the description below.